So I'm not sure if the recording has started. Okay, so I think the recording
Yes.
has started. So I'll definitely get a copy of the conversation. I can share that with you later. So
Perfect.
what's the first question that you ask? Like, why do we choose to build two projects on Polkadot, or is like a more of the general question for that? Why do we choose to build on
I
Polkadot?
want you to start out with the why did you create these two companies? And then we
Hmm.
want to move to Polkadot. And I also
Yeah,
want you to expand on, I want you to expand on why the Polkadot ecosystem
yeah.
is so different.
Yeah, happy to share that. So I mean, I'm being in blockchain space for over like 7 years. I fully committed on blockchain about 7 years ago. I actually know about Bitcoin way earlier. When Bitcoin was less than $100. Well, back then, I didn't realize that it could actually become possible. I mean, I think the idea was great, but to bootstrap that require a miracle. But the miracle did happen. So I think it's now in the face of like what I say, inevitable, right? So once you start a fire, you can't put it out. So I mean,
Mhm.
that's why I decided to fully commit in crypto about 7 years ago. So about 3 years ago, I start to look at all the applications that's viable on blockchain. I mean, ultimately, I believe that everything that can happen on blockchain will transact on a blockchain. The people talk about like IoT, AI, whatever. I do believe, but I just don't think that it's gonna be viable in the next 1 or 2 years. But I do have after some thinking, I do believe that finance is the very first area that blockchain is able to disrupt and bring like real useful applications, real value for the user, for token holders. And that's why I decided to study my own venture, right? So I happened to meet a set of co-founders that's also in New Zealand and also in, one of the co-founders in China. We are like-minded people. We all believe like there's a lot of hype in the blockchain space, yeah, but this hype aside, there's really meaningful product that could only be created on blockchain. And that's why we started this company. Actually, when I started this venture, I think we have this mindset that no matter what we do, it gotta be finance related because that's where we can create real meaningful product for the user. And well, that's why there's like two products. And we were researching. I mean, back then we were researching like if we want to design a product, where should we deploy it to? I mean, obviously the option is to deploy on Ethereum, but back then, I mean, we are pretty much a set of engineers. Like we can foresee, we can did some educated guess that Ethereum one is gonna hit the scalability issue. Maybe soon, maybe later, but we would like to design something that's like capable of mass adaptation. If you want to see the trend back then and then reflect what we see today, you can already see that the Ethereum is already overloaded. So back then we were looking for like where is the innovative base layer that we can deploy our product on, and then we look at Cosmos, we look at Ethereum 2, we could look at Polkadot, and ultimately we decided to work on Polkadot, right? And back then, about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Polkadot was still very immature. So pretty much the substrate framework was like lack of documentation. We see the promise of what you can do, but I mean that's like pretty much like very immature. That's why we need to build. If you want to build a financial industry on top of Polkadot, there's many things we need to build. And then obviously, the financial sector couldn't function without a stablecoin, without a decentralized stablecoin. I mean, that's why we decided to build the fundamental layer, which is essentially Acala. Essentially, is the stablecoin, and then revolving around the stablecoin, there's the DEX, there's like the liquidity, staking derivative products. All those revolve around the stablecoin, and then later on, we want to create something even more, how do I say, meaningful for the stablecoin. So initially, when you build a stablecoin, it can be obviously to be used for DEX for trading, can be used by other projects as the stable currency they can trade or things like that. But how can we give it more like meaningful use cases? And that's why we decided also we have another arm, which is the synthetic asset trading protocol. And well, I think the mindset of what the co-founders or the company is that it's actually very how do I say? It's actually very real for an engineer to create products that's otherwise is impossible for you to do on a conventional finance world. So if you want to launch a stable coin without blockchain, it's impossible. But now is the time for the coders to actually able to deliver a financial product on a rapid development type of development. on a rapid iteration type of development. This will never be possible before, right? So that's why I think with the right set of engineers, we can pretty much create everything with blockchain, finance related. And that's why we have these two initial products that we work side by side. We are not going to stop here, right? So once we launch Acala, once we launch the other products, we are not going to. So essentially, like when you launch on a decentralized project, once you launch and you did a successful launch, it's essentially already an infinite machine that you can run it by itself. But why would you stop there? Like you should keep innovating. You should keep bring more useful products and let the wider population get into this crypto space. I mean, that's what we believe. Like we don't actually see that this is like just like a hype, or this is like there's a bottle, there's the limit what we can achieve. That's not. We believe that ultimately the blockchain will become the financial backbone, and the conventional financial sector will become obsolete. And that's why we keep delivering, keep working on different ideas. You actually see us releasing maybe new products once we go live on Bacala. There will be the synthetic asset trading. There will be like the a new product that we might be launching. So we're not gonna stop like just like deliver one product. We're gonna constantly work on the stuff that we worked before. And that's the other idea. Like people talk about money Lego, right? So it's essentially impossible for financial products to composable with each other without blockchain. So it's almost impossible for you to like say, I want to take that bank or program that bank, connect to that bank, connect to that payment gateway, and then all work together. It's actually quite hard. But on blockchain, it's very easy. So we think about that. If we already invented or we coded a stable coin, we coded this, how do we combine them and code it something else? It's actually very, very easy to do rapid iteration of development, to do rapid release of products, given that you already have the building block. And that's why we build all this stuff together.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned, so I wrote down one of the statements you said, which is the infinite machine. And I love that.
Yeah.
You know, so can you expand on that infinite machine and what you mean by that?
Oh, well, so if you look at blockchain technology, how do you judge if a network is truly decentralized? So I would say that probably only Bitcoin is truly decentralized. So there's no developer you can go to. There's no organization you can go to. It just keeps spinning, just like a perpetual machine. That it's Bitcoin will continue to survive, will continue to grow, will continue to function with any one single entity that can be accountable for like failure or something like that. So it's essentially like you develop something like a perpetual motion machine that's like using the economic value, using the individual's greed, I would say, actually like probably not the right term, or using the economic incentive to make sure that it's running without any sort of single entity, and it will continue to exist. I think Bitcoin already achieved that, right? So similar story for Ethereum. There's still an Ethereum foundation, but it's pretty much a semi-autonomous machine. Like if Ethereum foundation goes away, I'm pretty sure Ethereum's going to continue to exist, and maybe will improve itself or something like that. And that's the state we want to achieve as like if you are building a protocol or if you are building an layer one, whatever it is, it gotta be achieved this sort of like autonomous to call yourself decentralized. Otherwise, you'll be better by using some sort of database. Why would you want to do the blockchain way if you can't achieve this sort of like how do I say infinite perpetual machine? So our goal to judge if we were successful is that hopefully in short amount of time, maybe a year, maybe two, the founding team goes away for whatever reason. The network still exists. It's still contributing, still thriving, still giving value for the token holders, like the Bitcoin network. And that will we call ourselves successful. If we can't achieve that, that's actually not truly decentralized. So if you use that example to compare the current protocol on Ethereum, I think this handful of those protocols is truly decentralized. Uniswap being one of the protocol they are looking into. So if the whole Uniswap team goes away, I'm pretty sure it's gonna continue to function because it has no external dependency. It does not require an oracle to fit in price. As long as there's trading activity, the Uniswap protocol will continue to function, and that's where we're at the level that we would like to achieve. So yeah, I mean that is like I would consider what sort of project being successful. Well, this is the stage where we think it's gonna be successful. And if you look into that even further, like once the founding team goes away, or like for some reason, whatever, just assume that the founding team no longer functions, there's still developer coming in to contribute to improve the network, and that's where you call yourself successful.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that goes into the statement you made in that last in your discussion last week, where we need to have these educational platforms to educate the future,
Mhm,
on this, and that's why I'm working with. I sent you over my website, SidTech. We're still building it out, but my vision is to get as many students, even non developers,
mhm,
knowledgeable about the Polkadot ecosystem as possible, because that's going to be the future. Because the people that I'm speaking with,
mhm,
we're the old heads in the Polkadot ecosystem. We're the old guys.
mhm,
So I did one podcast and I said that these college kids, they're changing the rules and changing the game.
mhm.
And I'm just trying to keep up. And I'm learning every step of the way. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head whenever you said that we need some more education. And I think that that's where I think that the Polkadot ecosystem is different from any other ecosystem that I've experienced. Is your experience the same?
Well, I think so, because I think we compare a lot of like base layers, right? And we do believe that Polkadot, or the framework that we use to crack blockchain, has a lot of unique possibilities that would be very hard to achieve on other base layers. So it has like this technologically advantage. They're already better, well designed, and it has this steep learning curve as well. And that's why we think we need more developer to learn to get into this ecosystem. So I mean, the whole rationale behind it, why do we need not more people to know about this, is that I think under the hood, regardless of like everything aside, I do believe that blockchain, or the decentralized technology, is a much better way for people to transact. There's no reason that banks should continue to exist. It has been invented hundreds of years ago. But think about that. It's now 2020. But over the weekend, you can't still transfer your money. I mean, maybe you can do a small transaction, but you can't deal with your money over the weekend. How is that outdated? Like, this is so outdated. And I do believe that inherently that blockchain is like a superior technology that everyone should get onto. The reason that is not the case right now is because, well, this is the learning curve. There's also like you need to improve the user experience. But ultimately, everyone should be on blockchain. That's why I believe it. And that's why I think that in order to make blockchain better for people to understand, less scary, that's why you need to build stuff, right? You need more developer build stuff, and then in return, it's gonna bring more users, and the more users, the more developers, and ultimately become a positive feedback. And ultimately, if everything transact on blockchain, I would say that everyone's better off rather than transacting on a conventional finance network. It's extremely unfair on a conventional finance network, I would say, for especially for like those not very well resourced people. I don't think it's fair. So I think ultimately that's what we believe. We want to create something that's more fair, more usable, more accessible.
Okay. So whenever you say that it's more fair, user
Mhm,
accessible, is
mhm,
that kind of your why, your social impact, objective,
mhm.
for
So I
for
think,
the beginner piece?
well, I don't have like very high level idea of all this, but I do believe that, for example, uh, if you were dealing with conventional bankers, or if as a small business, if you want to transact with the bank, there's a need a lot of hurdles. But if you're a large business, you get advantage. You can leverage on a bank. The bank actually serve you. But the thing is that the money is the same. Why should they discriminate against you and particular other bigger player? On blockchain, your transaction will be treated as equal as like a
Mhm.
multi-billion-dollar enterprise. As long as you pay for the same amount of gas fee, it's gonna guarantee to be delivered with X amount of seconds. So I think that's at that is already a more fair way to transact. And the other thing to look at is that I mean, that's the actual unfairness, I would say, that behind this is the whole existing momentary system that it's almost impossible to improve within, right? So the whole idea of like the dollar getting depreciation all the time, people actually didn't realize that how much their dollar were depreciating. There's not a lot of asset they can hold into. For an average, not for a very resourceful people. I mean, there's no other. alternative except the currency that keep depreciating. Some rich people, they might buy a house to offset the inflation risk or the risk of the money getting less and less over time. But for an average deal, they can't afford even a house. Then what's the solution? There's no solution. Poorer people getting poorer, richer people getting richer, and I don't think
Mhm.
that's fair. I don't think that's fair. Like that, we are creating more value every day as the society move forward. So I think, I mean, deep under, I do believe that maybe Bitcoin should be the global reserve. It's more fair. Everyone can get into Bitcoin. There's no way you can print more for this particular small group and get rid of the other larger group. So I think
Right, right.
those are the fundamentals that we believe.
Excellent. Excellent. I appreciate that. So, so the way that you explain it,
Hmm.
you're almost taking the technical aspect out of it, right? And because whenever we start talking about development, when we start talking about blockchain, even when we start talking about blockchain, you start losing people, right? From my
Yeah.
perspective, right? So my question to you, because this is something I struggle with. Whenever I start talking about blockchain, people automatically get turned off. So, in your opinion,
Yeah.
how do we tell this story
Hmm.
for people to listen?
Okay. I always use this analogy. I'm not sure it's gonna appropriate for all the audience, but you can. When I talk to people, I say that, hey, pull out your phone, right, and look at everything inside your phone. You have the illusion that you own everything inside your phone, but in fact, you own nothing. Your email
Mm,
account belongs to Google. Your PayPal account belongs to PayPal. Your bank account belongs to your bank. I mean, they have this admin right that they can get rid of your account anytime. They can change your balance. They can do whatever they want. They might not want to do it to you, but the thing is that you do not own anything on your phone. You have the illusion of ownership, but the platform themselves gonna screw you over. Like Facebook, like everyone else, you don't own any single thing on your phone. And how is that? How is that fair? Like, and actually, if you look at Bitcoin, if you look at the decentralized technology, it's the best invention ever. That's the first time that you can actually digitally own something. So your Bitcoin, if your private key is in your phone, it's essentially owned by you. No one else in the world, not like Joe Biden, not like Trump, not like Xi, not anyone have the power to move your Bitcoin unless you say so. Well, obviously you don't run into a robbery. They have a hammer that you don't give your security, right? They can still break it. But the thing is that that's the decentralized technology. The currency aside, is actually the technology that enable you to truly own your digital asset. No other technology allow you to do that. And if you don't think that's valuable, if you don't think you should own your own assets, I think that you're getting screwed by the platforms. And this is the way out. This is that you can truly own something. Once you have this sense that you can have true digital ownership, you can see a lot of things that change the name, change the way that you play the game. The other
mhm,
idea that I also try to talk to people about, so one key aspect of blockchain is getting rid of the intermediary, right? So people will live to the day and they get used to this, right? I ask them that if you look at the bank do two things. I mean, they do a lot of other things, but primarily they do two things, right? So they get you to supply money, and they lend the money to someone else. So it
mhm,
except you, beside you and the lender, if you don't supply money and if someone don't lend from borrow from the bank has no meaning, has no value. So you are the enabler of the bank. But why did you getting screwed by the bank? The bank get all the benefit of you helping building this bank. In its essence, the bank should give you shares for deposit money into there. And that's what's happening on blockchain right now. If you deposit money into Compound, they give you comp token as shares. And if you ask the way that why it hasn't been like this, well, because we've been living in this system for a long time. We never no one actually questions. The same stuff look at the same stuff, look at the similar pattern of this intermediary. Look at Uber. So Uber should have no reason to exist if you don't ride it and there's no driver to drive for it. But ultimately, when Uber becomes so mature, it took all the benefit out of the ecosystem. You are the one that enabled this ecosystem, but you are not
mhm.
getting the best out of it. How is that fair? How is that fair? Well, that is a little bit maybe a little bit too aggressive, too educating. But the thing is that it is real that you are the enabler of this intermediary, and you are not benefit from that. Why? You should start ask the question why. And now the blockchain technology enable you to become the contributors, the stakeholders. You will be rewarded fairly for what you contributed.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right. So one thing, because I do a lot within a supply chain space,
Mhm.
and it's my ultimate vision to put an ERP, enterprise resource planning application. You familiar with those?
Yeah.
So it's my goal to put an ERP system, a decentralized ERP application on the blockchain. So in your opinion, do you think that that's feasible?
Well, I don't think it's feasible with the next year or two. It take
Oh
a
yeah.
long
I know it's
time.
going to be a 5-10 year project.
Yeah, it take a long time to evolve to that status. I don't know for how long, but I do believe that if you look at polka dots, that's actually the technology that might enable what you want to think, what you want to achieve.
That's why I went to Polkadot. That's why I went to Polkadot. I know it's a long
Yeah.
term vision, but like Polkadot's the only one that I could even see as a viable solution.
So let me explain a little bit about polka dots, like why we choose to build on polka dots.
Mhm.
We are all looking for possibility, like as we are all developers, right? And as any solid startup in blockchain space right now, you should be developers. We are not in the status that you don't know what's actually happening under the hood. I mean, it's quite early, so everyone should be developers. So if we want to build on top of Polkadot, you're actually looking for like possibility enabled by Polkadot. So if you look at Ethereum, it's a general computation platform. You can deploy smart contract. You get to say what happened within your sandbox, but you don't have any ability outside the sandbox. What Polkadot enables is that a new possibility for developers to actually customize not only within the sandbox but outside the sandbox. So think about you can start to design a network that's specialized, few just custom made for one thing or for a number of things, but to do it really well. For example, your idea like having a ERP short of a blockchain. If you do that on Ethereum, you will be bound to a lot of such as smart contract
Mhm.
limitations, gas fee, how do you interact. There's like so many limitations. But on Polkadot, it gives you the ability to jump out of that and to design something as like if you're designing software. But
Mhm.
if you're designing software, if you're designing ERP, you already know how to do it in a centralized way. You can do that. On Polkadot, on Substrate, you can do it in a decentralized way, but with the same flexibility of like, oh well, I want to write and software from ground up, but I don't need to worry about the actual blockchain aspect of that. But once I finish developing this software, it become a blockchain. So that's like the new possibility enabled by Polkadot.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of what I wanted to get, because I think that the whole premise of what I wanted to ask is whenever you said to create the fairness,
Mhm.
right? That's the big thing that I wanted to get from you all. And I think that, your why is to actually create that infinite machine.
Mhm.
Create that infinite machine and continuing to develop. So whenever you create this infinite machine, what do you think is next for you all?
Oh, there's so many things, right? So well, but to survive, I mean, to survive in this space is definitely you need to have a viable product. So there's a lot of speculation, but speculation aside, the product itself need to be viable. Otherwise, it will be purely only hype or or speculations. That's like a Ponzi scheme for most of projects. We don't like that. So the underlying product need to be viable. It gotta have like meaningful users, meaningful traders that actually participating, enjoying using the network. That's where the economic value comes from. So for us, the very next priority focus is that once we go live, we'll make sure that there's enough reputation of what we created. I think we created something very useful for the Kusama holders and for the dot holder to transact as a bare minimum, and we create something that's enable us to deliver additional financial applications on top of. So yeah, I think the first hurdle is to make sure there's a big enough community of users that's actually using the product, that's generating profit for the product. It's not generating profit for us, but generating profit for the protocol. So the protocol is viable. So I think that's the first hurdle. And after that is how you bring that to the next level, right? So once you have the user basis, well, you're not going to stop there. You're going to keep roll out new product to make sure it's more useful every single day. As like, if you look at iPhone, the iPhone after it's revolutionary. After they invented, they added App Store, they added a ton of other stuff. It keep improving until you reach everyone. So I think that's the goal that we should have, is that we also improving the product, delivering new features, creating new projects or something like that to make sure we reach every potential users, I would say, potential populations that's interested to trade on top of blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And one thing I've always been thinking about is, how do you, in your opinion, how do you think you all got so much interest in this project?
Oh, you mean
like everyone's talking about this project. So like, how did that come about?
Oh, I think that's because we keep our value. I mean, we keep what I just said. We keep delivering what I just said. So we are not just a concept. There's a lot of blockchain project is simply a concept or a proof of concept or something like that at the most. But we actually have a full product suite that people can go and try it out. We have the testnet running up and running for like 6 months. People can already use the testnet to transact. The value is fake, but everything's real. So well, there's already people that like dot holders. They really would like to use the product for getting more utility out of dot tokens. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is that people start to see the potential that we are able to create. So for example, on Ethereum today, if you want to transact, let's say USDC, you have to pay ETH as gas fee. Well, that's okay for the existing traders, but for any non-crypto people, it's like, why should I do that? Why can't I just pay USD as the gas fee? Well, that's impossible to fix on Ethereum, but on our platform, because we have the ability to customize down to the core, a user can pay USD when they transfer USD. That's already a huge UX lift. So people can start to realize, okay, this is potentially a very, very good idea to see how we can roll out this sort of innovative features. We have tons of features that hasn't announced yet. And I think, yeah, down to the core, if you create something useful, people will notice and people will come.
Excellent. And I would say from my perspective, given what we're given our concept, for those people, so first for non-developers, for my students that are non-developers, if they want to get into this Polkadot space, and then for my developers that are students that want to get into this Polkadot space, what recommendations would you have? And then what recommendations would you have? So 3 questions. So what recommendations would you have for entrepreneurs that want to get into this blockchain and Polkadot ecosystem?
So I think for entrepreneurs, for entrepreneur that want to get in the blockchain space or to get to the Polkadot space, I think the default answer is no. Until you make yourself, you need to find a viable product, right? So the default answer is that, should I be doing this on blockchain? If the answer is no, then it's no. Do not create an illusion. Yeah, do not create an illusion that this has to happen on blockchain. So if the answer is that yes, this could only happen on blockchain, then you should seek next and validate the idea to make sure ultimately, once your product or protocol, whatever it is, getting full matured, it is viable. So the first idea is to get to a set of questions. Should I do this on blockchain? If the answer is no, then no. If the answer is yes, and would there be any people that are willing to use this product? If the answer is yes, then continue until you find the right product fits. I think to find the right product fit itself is very important. You don't want to create something that's like no one gonna use, or you make that you get the timing wrong. Maybe that something will be thriving 5 years later, but not now, right? So those is the question you have to go through. And once you went through that, then you start to I would say that I would suggest that you start with engineering mind as your fundamentals. If blockchain space is still very engineer focused culture, everyone pretty much talk about how to code it, write a smart contract, things like that. So make sure entrepreneur as someone comfortable with getting hand dirty, understand the technology, understand how stuff work under the hood. I think that's probably the most two important, I would say, requirement for anyone to get into this space. Have a right product fit and have an engineering mindset that you understand actually what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like our vision, in that
Mhm.
we want both developers and engineers, as
Mhm.
well as, you know, business students, finance students, supply chain
Mhm.
students, so that they can create those use cases and collaborate with
Yep.
the engineers
Mhm.
to build, to
Mhm.
create, to innovate, right?
Yep.
Now
Yep.
that was our vision. So was that a viable a viable thought, you think?
Yeah, I think it's viable as long as your finance people or the other people understand under the hood how blockchain works.
Yeah.
And if the finance people understand how blockchain works, there's essentially endless possibility on blockchain. So everything that's currently happening on a conventional finance world, that's pretty much lacking on the blockchain space. If you understand how blockchain works, the unique nature of blockchain, you can re-engineer those products and make it available on blockchain. And for example, like an interest swap product, a forward contract, and CFD product, all those is viable on blockchain. Every single thing, you can essentially code it as long as you have the right understanding, have the right skill set to code it, have the right financial mind to model it, so make sure that it works. Everyone can do that.
Mhm. Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I had. Is there anything else you want me to kind of include in terms of you all, your vision, in terms of your organization, in terms of you?
Well, well, I think that's pretty much it. I don't have any other thing to add. And for me, I would say the next 2 or 3 years, maybe I think the next 10 years would be still like the golden age for blockchain, right? So I'm fully committed on this. Actually, the hardest question to ask is that when crypto market goes up, right? And for entrepreneur, when crypto market goes up, when your Bitcoin goes up, how can you still stay focused of delivering what you promised? So that's
Right.
probably the hardest thing, right? If everyone getting so rich, then why should you still bother to work on the hard stuff? And that's the question everyone need to ask themselves. That
Right.
even though so money shouldn't be the motivation behind what you want to do. Is that even if you have infinite amount of money, you still want to do that. That's the right way.
I like that. I love that. That is excellent. That is excellent advice, because I think I'm on the same page as you, as that, once Bitcoin hits 100,000 and you're
Yeah.
developing this, it's like, okay, what's the point?
Yeah, but I mean that's the ultimate test as well, right? So for some people, they just want to have like a peaceful life. They want to retire early. That's the moment. But for someone like when money is no longer the motivation, they want to find something that truly makes themselves passionate. And if that something is to work on the blockchain space and make sure more people get transact on blockchain, well then you should jump into blockchain development.
Hmm. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, I mean that's my vision. My vision is to educate. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm, I don't sell anything. I'm an educator, right? And I'm trying to build a future and get more people interested in this. And I know that, like I tell everybody, everybody's digging for gold with Bitcoin, and like you all are bringing the shovels, and that's what I tell all my students. It's like, you gotta to hit this generational wealth that everybody's talking about now, right? Oh,
Hmm.
invest in Bitcoin, get this generational wealth. No, you develop the solutions, and that's where generational wealth comes from.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to explain. The students listen to me, but the people in the clubhouse rooms, those Bitcoin maximalists, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. So I mean, that's what we're trying to do. And like I said, we're trying to within the SIG tech company, we're trying to essentially create like a baby Kusama, to kind of create
Hmm.
like a safe space for those students to learn. Like those
Yeah.
people who are just like computer science, and sophomores and like sophomores in computers, major in computer science, they're in there to be able to make mistakes, and then once they figure it out, then we can move forward. So that's the ultimate goal of what we're working on, and we're trying to create some developers for you all. We're trying to create have some unicorns in the stable for you all. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I had. That's all I had. And like I said, thank you for your time. I'll probably get caught up, and I will write something up for the Medium article first, and I'll send it to you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Have you review it with your team, make sure everything's legit.
Yeah.
Now post it on Medium, and then like I said, the coming months I'm gonna write up a peer-reviewed journal article, because within higher education, there's a bunch of blockchain articles. They're all theory.
Yeah,
they're all theory. They're case studies with Hyperledger Fabric and things like that. I have yet to see, except for Gavin's white paper, and that's really not a peer-reviewed journal article, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, you really don't have a true blockchain peer-reviewed journal article, right? And that's why I'm working with Ray in the metaverse space. And that's why I want to work with you all within the DeFi space to get a true case study within the blockchain industry. Awesome. So I think this is going to disrupt higher education. I'm a disruptor, right? I always say I'm a troller. I'm a troller in higher education. I always throw out the things, and I want to get a response from these older people that's career academics that don't really know what's going on in the industry. They write about it, but they have no clue what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, I think your role is pretty much needed, right? Once you troll everyone, then you are no longer the troller.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's what. But whenever I got into higher education, it's almost like everybody's going by the status quo. They're looking at research journals, and by the time they wrote something out in 2021, it's like 3 years old already. It's like the industry's already changed. So why are you already writing on this stuff? Because you're just looking at older journal articles, older research, and it's really not applicable, especially in the technology space. AI, that's totally different. That's a totally different story. But blockchain, that stuff, I can't use some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the gap that I've identified. Doing a lot of work in this space within higher education.
Awesome. Thanks. I think what you're doing is awesome.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And I'm not sure if you reviewed those substrate applications, but I have like 6 students I just sent over. Because I spoke with Ray. I think Ray's on that review committee or whatever. So I'm actually about to do about 2 hours more work, and I'm going to reach out to some more students to get some more people in that program. I know that Ray said they want to get more college students in there to get some more developers.
Yeah, we actually run the program, right? So we started this Substrate Academy program. So Brian, our CTO, is essentially the very first lecture. How do I say? The very first course creators. And I think till today we have like over 500 students already. And we tend to push more to get more experienced programmer to get to understand substrates, how to code in substrate or things like that. Well, it's for the better good.
Yeah. And that's one thing I wanted to speak with you and Ray and Brian about, is that, like, what do you think about like creating like a foundations of blockchain certification program, or a foundations of Rust, or a foundations of Ink type program? Like, what's your thoughts on that? And like, what do you think the process would be into doing something like that?
I think at this stage, there's not a well-known like the standard certification program or something like that. It's more of like very, very early stage. But I do think at some stage this should be like managed on chain. So for example, if we launch Acala, if we launch when we cooperate with this academy, we can have say that your actual certificate is an NFT, and then your NFT will be tied to your account, and that's your certificate. But I think the meaningful how do I say, the meaningful certification program will comes when there's like actual viable, more mature way of educating. Currently, what we are doing now is still very, very early stage. So I don't know, especially like if there's university willing to do a substrate course or a blockchain course, that will add a lot of credibility for that. For now, it's still mostly community organized. There's no reputation system. There's no which one is the best. Not yet.
Yeah, yeah, but that I mean, but again, that's where I could come in. You know,
Hmm.
where we if you had something to, I'm not a developer, so I couldn't do the substrate one, but
Hmm.
that's why I'm reaching out to you all to say if we could do like a foundations of blockchain and get
Hmm.
it, you know, sponsored by Acala and
Hmm.
Parity and you guys, I
Hmm.
could get it into Penn State.
Well, that would be awesome. Like if that's something that you would like to work for, then work with us. We're happy to supply material. We're happy to review or do whatever you need it. But we're happy to do that as long as the idea is getting more people to know what's happening on
Yes.
blockchain. And we are very well connected with the parity people. I mean, like if you want to work on like an official Penn State certification program or something like that, I think the parity team will be very excited. We will be very excited, happy to work on that angle.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I can start putting that. I can start putting that in motion because I think that the first step is to be like foundations of blockchain with Polkadot, and
Hmm.
that idea comes up because at Penn State we have an ERP with SAP,
Hmm.
right? So you
Yeah.
pretty much teach students the foundations of SAP, and
Hmm.
then SAP, you know, provides you pretty much gives you access to S4 HANA. Pretty much all they do,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But now it's brilliant in that once those students leave Penn State and they hear ERP system, what's the first thing you're going to think about? They're going to think about SAP, right? So that's my thought and that's my mindset because I teach at the University of Cumberland and that master's a blockchain program, and we actually use Hyperledger Fabric to teach
Hmm.
students. But
Yeah.
my thought is, unless you work for a Fortune 500 company, you're never going to touch IBM Hyperledger Fabric, right? So
Yeah.
that's not going to be applicable to a large number of students. You
Hmm.
know, so actually, I actually lead the I actually do the capstone class, so pretty much the last class in the master's program. And
Hmm.
this past semester, they did their thesis based on Polkadot.
Oh wow.
So the first paper they read was Gavin Wood's white paper.
Wow.
so
Awesome.
so I mean I'm the only professor that runs that capstone, so I can essentially build what I want to do. So I mean that's what they did. They did their thesis on Polkadot, you know, and based on the
Hmm.
interoperability and how it applies to like supply chain management and the future of supply chain management and things like that. You know,
Hmm.
so I have access to a number of institutions. Penn State, University of Cumberland's, Georgetown is a big player within a blockchain space, and
Hmm.
I'm actually in the second year of building out the masters in supply chain program there, and I've
Hmm.
been working with the dean on building out a special topics class. You know, so
Hmm.
I'm trying to get a special topics on emerging technologies where we're creating real use case on artificial intelligence. I'm going to bring in blockchain, and then this program could be
Hmm.
one that we bring in there as well. You know, so
Awesome.
it's just not one university certification program. This would be a certification program used for Georgetown, Penn State, University of Cumberland's. You know, and I know that Ray's getting in with Berkeley now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we I mean Berkeley is one example that we work with Parity work with. They have this incubator type of organization that incubates blockchain projects. So I think it's getting just the beginning of like um how do I say how to get more deeper involved with the university network. And I think what you are saying is awesome. I might connect you to, if you don't mind, I can connect you to Theater from the Web3 Foundation. He will be very happy to hear like what you are
Yes,
working on.
please. Yeah,
Yeah.
please do that.
Uh,
I've been trying to get connections for like a month now to talk about what
okay.
we're trying to do. Because
Yeah.
like I said, it's all about education.
Yeah. I was. Can you? I don't know if I have your. I do have your email address. So I will just I will write an email and will connect you to the Web3 Foundation so they know that you are doing awesome work. and they might we can have collaborations on things like that, on how to getting more people on the blockchain.
Yeah, I would love that. I just put my email within the chat.
Okay, I will do that as a follow up.
Okay. All right. I really appreciate that. That's something that we're working on, and we've been doing this for about, say, a month and a half now. And like I said, we're getting all kinds of students. We got students from King's College. We have a call with Oxford in the UK in a couple of weeks, Imperial College in the UK. Working with a number of students in India. You know, so yeah, we're gonna get a lot of the students within that program coming. Trying to get as many as possible before the 30th comes up.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute honor. I'm not sure how long it takes for this thing to transcribe, but as soon as it transcribes and you review it and I guess cut out whatever you need to, please send it over when you get a chance.
Yeah, no problem. I will send the recording. Yeah, once I find it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.